Let me please grasp this opportunity to congratulate the organizers with the organizers of this forum that started 9 years ago. I was with the forum right from the beginning. It changed importantly. It is a success for the integration of the different entities in the area. And I'm pleased that there are parallel forum as the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, which paves the way to a rather serene future, because this dialogue is on and will develop. Obviously, it is Professor Fallico that we should congratulate upon and thank for this work, and I'd like to join in with those who already thank him. This started off as an Italian and Russian initiative. And why was Italy joined with Russia? Well, I believe that the explanations can be different. Probably diplomats would be better in explaining, but I read what a Polish politologist wrote, and he said there's something between Russia and Italy that is very much as a magnet, in that one country is attracted to the other and vice versa. This politologist said that Italians are optimist Russians, whereas Russians are pessimistic Italians. Well, that might be so, that might be the case, but, dear friends, first let me say that I followed with great attention to what Madame Valvaya was saying. We've been working together for over 10 years. I don't want to repeat what she said, but let me just point out a few things, and then I'll take the question that was raised by our moderator. So the first thing that I meant to say is that I believe Europeans lost a very good opportunity, and actually this is not just true for Europe, but also for the Eurasian Economic Community. Nobody worked adequately because opportunities were there that were not grasped to establish close ties, reliable links that would have enabled us to tackle the political and geopolitical situations better. At the beginning, when the Eurasian community was established at the beginning of the year 2000, initial contacts had already been established with the Council of Europe, with the European Union, and, by the way, Professor Prodi was the first who actually asked us to meet him because he wanted to know what the common stances were. And one of the subjects that was debated at the time was the possibility to establish the single area for transport, the single and corridors between China and Europe were mentioned. A decade went by before the same ideas is tabled, now being voiced by China. And now we're wondering why we haven't done that before. I believe, again, that important opportunities have been lost over the past decade, but politics is something which is closely connected with reality, and the reality is such as that there are already certain institutions in the post-Soviet space, so you might like them or not, but there are some situations that are developing despite certain difficulties. When it comes to economics, obviously the Euro-Asian Economic Community is the most important institution. Russia and Belarus started a bilateral union before the Euro-Asian Economic Community was launched, and they act as a union. Now, I could talk at length and explain very accurately about the functioning of this mechanism, but let me go back to what was said by the presidents of our two countries. They both said that the union state between Russia and Belarus is actually an integration in the post-Soviet area, and this is quite true. You also have to consider the conditions under which we work, because there are domestic problems, internal problems, and as our moderator said, there are sometimes contradictions leading to scandals even at times. But if you look back at history, you may very well understand that always a solution is found, which means that the project in itself is good and feasible and lively. Then there are external factors, conditions at the margin, one of which being the lack of will to acknowledge the integration in the post-Soviet area. This, for example, is the stance of the European Union, and this is the stance also of the US, unfortunately. So there's no willingness to acknowledge what we've done, and this lack of willingness has led to very sad truths. In the past, for example, I had to deal with a non-proliferation of mass massacre. It was at the time when it was when the conflict in Iran was underway. The Russian Federation used all the possible means to try and persuade the community in that Iraq didn't have mass destruction weapons, but nobody lent a ear, nobody listened to us. Troops were sent so that a rather stable system has been completely done away with, the ruling class has been done away with, and in the end, no mass destruction weapon was ever found. Now, this is to say that at times myths are created, and on such myths, politics develops. Now, as to our interaction, let me make one consideration. All the times when we meet our partners, we always revert to economy as being the most important feature. Obviously, there are also political and cultural issues to be debated about. The core of our relationship are economy and science, and not any science, but the science focusing on innovation. These are the main and prevailing subjects that we want to cooperate on. Well, nobody in Europe have I met people that were suspicious with reference to such fields. Nobody ever found people not willing to be involved. Whenever I ask what is to be done to try and promote the economic and scientific ties, I'm often asked, you don't have to support us, you don't have to help us, we don't need your help, we just need you not to be a hindrance. And without any obstacles, without any hindrance, things are going to work out fine. Thank you. I'd like to ask a question that might be a bit hard, if I may, but I'll try to voice it in a more acceptable way, because I believe that this is an important subject for European partners. Whenever we talk about relationships between Russia and Belarus, the problem of energy crops up. Our partners in the Western world and in Europe often wonder whether Russia is using energy to blackmail, because at times even the members of the union, Russia and Belarus, that again started this union, at times there are also problems concerning energy indeed. Well, as to energy, this is not a problem that crops up from time to time. It is always on the top of our agenda whenever we talk about the relationships between Russia and Belarus. And energy is a multifaceted issue. Now, as to the contradiction that at times emerge, well, As of late, we did talk about that at length, and the problem has already been solved. Now, in the future, I can't say that this is never going to happen again, but there are also other issues that have been featuring our relationship. You know that the power station is being built now for 2.4 megawatt. So this power station is a huge power station which is being built in a very small country, Belarus. Well, the Russian Federation is the main investor, the main building partner in this power station. So we are indeed developing an energy security system that is going to enable Belarus to become totally self-sufficient when it comes to the energy supply. So I think it is totally wrong to think about Russia blackmailing Belarus. At times there are issues, at times there are problems that have to do also with food supply, but this is another isolated issue. Thank you.